I want you to know it's going to be a running theme that I never shut the fuck up.
That's okay. That's what people are here for, so.
Hey guys, Katie here, and you might notice that I'm in a different house. Oh, that's because it's Grace's house. That's her, Grace. I'll have all of her Instagram and YouTube and Etsy, whatnots linked below because, you know, she's an entrepreneur. We're actually in her little studio space right now. This is my best friend, and we realized today that there has been 15 books so far in 2020 that we have forced each other to read, which is hysterical because I think Grace has probably read like 30 books this year. So half of them have been buddy reads with me. How do you feel about that? Do you feel overwhelmed by my intense opinions forcing them down your throat about books?
No. I think she's great at storytelling, and everything she reads I want to read, but you know, I get the full story first and foremost. I kind of don't even need to read them because I have a personal storyteller right here.
I'm so bad about it. Do you know how many books I wanted to read? And I go, why should you read them, Katie? Because you've already spoiled everything. Like, there's so many books where I'm like, you know, she could read it, but you've made sure she won't. Like, I can't stop. Like, there's a really good story about a book that she held a big spoiler back. It's coming. You'll see. So anyway, we're going to talk about all the books we've buddy read. We'll do this again in the future, but we just realized we had so many to get to that we needed to do it now. We have a couple 5 stars. We even have a couple all-time favorites that we both read. So that's really cool because some things we really agreed with each other's opinion, and then other things we were drastically
Respectfully disagree.
Boom. Exactly. So I've got a big old bag of goodies here. So these are some of the books. We also have quite a few audiobooks and then a couple that are just no longer with us because they didn't deserve to be there in the first place. And what we're going to do is there's going to be like a fast fiction thing where she's going to have 20 seconds on her timer. And for each book, we're going to have 20 seconds and it's going to ping pong between one of them I'll do, next one she'll do. And we have 20 seconds to describe what the book is about. And if you don't get it all out in 20 seconds, we should make it even less time. 15 seconds. Boom. Sorry.
Challenge accepted.
If it's too hard, we'll go to 20 seconds. But this Aries moon and Leo moon are here for a freaking challenge. She's a Cancer, by the way. I'm a Gemini.
Hi.
Not that anybody cared, but you all should because astrology is amazing. But first, an elegant cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God, we really are those 2 Downton Abbey ladies now.
Mm-hmm. We are.
Wait, who was I? Maggie Smith? Or were you Maggie Smith?
Maggie Smith.
Oh, yeah, I'm Maggie Smith. I love that.
I'm Maggie Smith and everything.
Correct. I think we should start with The Stranger Beside Me because that was...
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
It was the first book that we buddy read. So yeah, So she's gonna start the timer. This is the first time we're ever doing this. So let's see. Start it now. Okay, The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. Anne Rule was like, not best friends with Ted Bundy, but was like pretty damn close. And she worked with him, and she was like an investigative reporter, and she was investigating the Ted Bundy murders, having no idea that her friend, who was like working beside her and was friends with her, was actually the one who was committing the crimes. And it's basically like her trying to figure out like if he did it and like whether or not she believed that he didn't do it. And good enough, okay? Let's start out by saying that I gave it 5 stars. How about you?
Yeah, I gave it 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good.
Pretty sure it's one of my favorites list.
One of my favorites for sure. And I don't read true crime, so.
So this was something that I listened to beginning of quarantine. I think like first week of quarantine, and I would not shut up about it. And I shit you not. I was talking to her on the phone, like talking on and on and on about like how horrifying it was. And she was like, I can't listen to this. Mm-hmm. This is scary, spooky skeletons. I don't like it. And I was like, okay. But anyway, I kept talking about it. And then I don't know why I sent it to you on Audible.
Yeah, I don't know why you sent that to me either. But I liked it. I definitely was listening to it the first couple weeks of quarantine because I remember I was painting my doors while I was listening to it. Painted them pink, so.
I was painting when I did it too, but I probably just sent it to her because it said on Audible, like, you can send somebody a free book.
Yeah. And
I sent it to her. And of course, in retrospect, I'm like, why did I send that book? But all's well that ends well.
Okay. White Fragility.
Oh, God. You're like, All right.
Just don't want to do that one.
Yep, bet. Okay.
Cancel. All right.
So Grace has picked White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo for me to describe for you, my friends. Okay. We can do it. And tell me when you're a go.
All right. Go.
It's a book about race. It's a white woman telling white people how to not sound racist, and basically telling all white people that they just are racist right off the rip. Like, you are, there's nothing you can do about it. Everybody's racist, everybody in the world. And basically she goes around and does like seminars talking to people and like going to businesses. You got the point. Grace.
Yeah.
What'd you think about this book?
I really thought I was getting out of it by making you do the description. I listened to this one on audiobook. It was alright.
It was a book and we both read it.
Yeah. It was nonfiction. It was educational. I did learn some things. It made me look at situations in a new light, which was good.
I feel exactly the same way. I read it at a very opportune time. Like, I read it when like the riots were first. Like, I think even like
June or something.
Yeah. The whole concept of like that everybody is racist, and like when people basically the thing that I took away from the book was when white people are like, but I'm not racist, or oh, but like I have a best friend that's black or something like that. It's like, no, even though you aren't knowingly supporting racism, you are benefiting from racism. And I was like, that was like, it was eye-opening to hear it said in the way that she said it. So I really enjoyed that. I do see the problematicness of that she's a white woman preaching about race, but I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think that she's doing it with any malicious intent, and I do understand she is benefiting from it, but anyway, that's what I thought. I didn't give it any rating because it is a nonfiction and I just didn't feel right giving this kind of book a rating, but I would tell people to read it.
Yeah, I think she put a lot of work into providing the information to people. So that was appreciated. Yeah.
So, okay, what do you want me to do?
Red, white, and royal blue.
Okay. It has been a minute. This is also COVID times. They were all COVID times, let's be honest.
Still COVID times, so.
Yes. Thank you, because I keep
forgetting?
lulling myself into a false sense of security. This book is huge.
Yeah. Okay, ready?
Wait, it's Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. My wife. Okay.
Go.
This is about the Prince of England and the son of the American president and their enemies to lovers, and it is so freaking good. It's so phenomenal. It's so heartwarming, and it's about like if the election of 2016 had gone to Hillary instead of Trump. It's basically like a divergence. Boom. Look at my sweet angel babies. This book is like if a warm apple pie, a la mode, and you ate it. Like, that's how this book feels to me. This is 5 out of 5. This is a favorite of all time. What did you think?
This one is a 5 out of 5, and like differing from a lot of the other books that I've read, this one actually gets better as I remember it fondly, instead of, you know, when you read a book and then you give it 5 stars and then you think about it and you're like, is it 3 stars? Because it was a fun time, but was it actually a really great book? This one is really, really great. It is so great. It's so sweet.
Oh, yeah.
They're both really sweet. I think she did a great job. It's nothing like anything I've ever read. I love all of our highlights. Oh my god.
Oh, I show this page in particular. We annotated the shit out of this book. This was like the funnest thing. Like, so when we were buddy reading, some of the times like I would buy the book, I would read it, highlight in it, and then I would give it to her and she would highlight in it in a different color and a different pin color, which I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna stop doing that. That is like a brilliant idea. If you have a friend and you want a buddy read, like, it's so smart. I highlighted in yellow and she highlighted in orange.
Yeah. I
think in a different book that we're going to show later, I think you highlighted in green, but she wrote in pink and I wrote in black, and it's so cute. Also, let me just real quick clock you on something. You rated this 4 stars.
Like I said, it gets fonder as I remember it fondly.
5 out of 5. Fave.
Yeah, it was a fave. It was a fave.
Okay, love it. Okay, I want Grace to describe Vicious by V. Schwab.
Oh god. Okay. Heard.
Do you know how many times I've wanted to buy a different version of this book, but I can't because of all of our highlights?
Oh no, the cover of this one's amazing. Look at him. This is like a comic like book. This is like X-Men vibes for sure. Look at his tiny feet.
They're literally so small. Also, look, okay, what is he drinking?
Savage. What did he break his hand?
Cheers. Thanks,
Cheers,
Victor.
my tiny guy.
My tiny-footed friend. It's only because none of the other covers look like that. But it's not a big deal.
If I was gonna buy a copy of this, I would buy this paperback exact same copy.
Okay, you're making me feel better about my choice.
I'm just gonna steal your copy and then you can get a new copy if
See,
you want.
that's what, like, this is what happens.
Alright, so this is Vicious by V.E. Schwab.
And go.
This book is about Victor, and that's all I want to hear about it. It's Victor and Eli. They're in college. They are bromancing. I love bromances, and they're so smart. They're so intelligent. They're like, God, it's so good. I don't even know what else to say. Oh yeah, and they're superheroes or something like that. They have powers.
Boom.
I don't care about the superhero thing.
I was waiting till I was like, is she gonna talk about that they're EOs? You're like, it's a bromance. It's so cute. It just like don't decide.
I love to fangirl about anything, and just like Victor and Eli, it's the Magneto and Professor X, but young and sexy. Am I right? Okay.
Oh my god. It's the young, gray, gay love story for me, sis.
Yeah. We love a gray villain. Like, they're not black or white. You're not good or bad. Are they? Are they not? I don't know. Lots of what is it? Like moral dilemmas happening, decision making happening in this book. The decision making in this book is questionable for sure. But oh my god. We also highlighted a bunch in this book.
The highlighting in this, I went off. Oh yeah, that was great. So in this one, she highlighted in green, I highlighted in yellow. I wrote in black. I think you wrote in blue. I don't even remember. Did you write anything?
No, I think I just highlighted under your highlights, or wrote with green pen.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, I was like, I know you definitely wrote in it, but we highlighted so much in this because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. It is an absolute favorite. And it was 5 out of 5. This was the third time that I read it this year. I physically read it. I've physically read it one other time, and I listened to the audio like 4 years ago or something. So this was my third reread, and I loved it just as much the third time.
Yeah, it's so good. I think that Victoria Schwab is an amazing writer. I've been looking for a book that was like easy to like draw me in and read. This was like a page turner. It's so good.
Oh my God.
She's a great writer. So
one thing that made it a really good page turner is that like the chapters are short, which we stand a legend. But not only that, but something that's confusing about this, but it's absolutely worth the payoff, is that there are varying timelines, and they are very varying, and you have to really follow it. There's like when they were in college, then it flashes forward to, I think, 10 years later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And then you're going back and forth with like not only like when they're in college, and then like a year after that, 3 years after that, and then 10 years after that, and you're kind of meeting in the middle.
I gotta go potty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
go ahead.
Can't stop her.
We stand all legends. So yes, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
Absolutely, my girl. Go for it, sis.
Oh my gosh.
Victoria Schwab across the board is hyped on BookTube, as she very well deserves. She is freaking phenom.
Meh. No.
Boom. Like, I'm obsessed with her. This is my favorite book by her. I have read almost all of them and absolutely adore them.
Oh,
Okay, what do I have next?
Let's do The Passengers by John Morris.
Okay.
20 seconds, starting now.
Okay, so this is like in an Elon Musk future where there's driverless cars, and this guy doesn't like the system, and he basically like hacks like 8, I think, different people's cars, and does like a collision course where they're all gonna crash into each other, and then he spans it like live and is like, everybody's watching and going, who should I save? And then he's gonna like save one person, and he like starts picking people off one by one. I read The One by John Mars and absolutely adored it. Favorite of all time. And immediately jumped on this to be on my waiting list on Libby. At the time, I gave this a 5 out of 5. I think now I would probably rate it a 4 out of 5, but I think the John Mars writing is absolutely fantastic. He is the king of a plot twist. He's also the king of a short chapter, because let's talk about a short chapter. Good God. It's like you can't even flip the page before the chapter's over. And he's a king. Did you hear me? Like, in love with that. I'm gonna let you talk about this because she had varying opinions in me.
I, after reading it, gave it a 4 out of 5, and I'm debating whether or not I think it's a 3 out of 5, not because of the writing. I think the writing's great. I think that the writing was just really great and for like this much of it, and then there was too much of an epilogue. It was like what everyone was doing with their lives after the main thing happened, and I would rather that be up to my own imagination and just have the wild ride be the ride that it was. But I think John Mars is great, and also I really do like look at this. I think that's so creative that they put like tweets and stuff. Well, I don't know what it says.
Oh no, I mean like
it has like hashtags and stuff, but they, like you said, they have like Twitter. What's this one?
Yeah, so
news blog.
Her showing this page is actually funny because after this page, like if you've read this book, after part 3 is where, after she brought it up to me, I was like, yeah, you're totally right. After that page, it really was not necessary, or it could have been a couple pages describing like, you know, not gonna spoil it, but like where this person went, what they're doing, whatever. But this much of the book, like it was an extra 100 pages, was not necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's you. Thank God.
What, describing the book?
Yeah, because I don't want to describe this one.
Okay, heard. This is a continuation of Vicious's story. It has Eli and Victor in it, but it also introduces Marcella. You've got Jude. There's a couple different characters that also have like different powers, and you're kind of learning about all of the EOs, and then there's like a government agency. I think the government agency is the big introduction in this book, so we're gonna see where it goes with the third one.
I waited a year to read it. I was so incredibly invested in the storyline, and this girl, why is she on the front cover? Should have been Eli. Should have been Victor. Should have been nobody else, because they're the only two that matter. I hated Marcella. I hated her storyline. I thought she was a trope of a character. Victoria Schwab is very iffy about female characters. You know, she kind of goes waffling between absolutely phenomenal and I'm sick of it. Anyway, whatever. It's about this new character. Nobody freaking cares. Like, this is all I'm gonna say. It's a second book, so if you want to know what it's about, read the first book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I think I'm not going to give it a 2 out of 5. Like, the writing is very good. And whatever, but all I care about is Victor and Eli, and it just took too damn long to get any content with them, and I just didn't. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. You talk about your feelings.
I liked Eli's flashbacks, and seeing his like family history was also really interesting because it was like, why is he crazy? You know, you get a little bit of insight into that. And as far as the new characters, they were not interesting enough for me to like think that this book should be this long for them. You know what I mean? Like I would have rather just read this stuff about Eli and Victor for sure.
Okay, so this is a 3 out of 5 for me. What was it for you?
Yeah, I think it's probably 3 out of 5, but the series is always going to be on the favorite shelf. So yeah. I'm just hoping the third book will make this just like a bridge between two greats. That way the series can literally be on the 5 out of 5 favorite shelf. So it's not just like what I think you said in one of your videos, that Vicious, you want to look at it as like a standalone because that is so great. Hopefully the third book will. Yeah.
I want them to like Macbeth. Like I want them to like die in each other's arms.
Oh, someone's death is gonna break my heart in the third one, I'm sure. Someone's gonna die.
And it wouldn't even matter which one. It could be either or, because if it's Eli, it's gotta be Victor seeing it happen. And it's that like, I'm smiling but I'm crying. Tell me, please link fan fiction for them below, because
Or fan art. I love to see fan art too.
Yes. So this was the first physical book that we buddy read.
Yeah.
Buddy read.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you were recommending it to me since like the second we met.
Yes!
Which was like 3 years ago. So.
So her phone is dead. So we're just going to do an old-fashioned countdown. So I guess you could just count.
I'm going to think of it and I'll let you know.
Okay, okay. This is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. So basically, this is a story of Amy and Nick. They're a married couple, and one of them or both of them are absolute sociopaths. And Amy goes missing, and the police are like, Nick, what happened? And it really is all stacking up against him, making it seem like he killed her, but it's like,
There.
did he? When I listened to this the first time, I almost ran off the road when I heard that plot twist on my way to work. I was so freaking shook, and this got me into reading in like a whole other way. Like, this is one of my favorite books ever. It's a 5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
This is one of my favorite books ever. 5 out of 5. She wanted me to read it for so long, and it was definitely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had my copy, because my copy is just like almost everything is highlighted. There's so many good quotes. Gillian Flynn is an amazing writer. That shit had me locked.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also like a genius, first of all, for even coming up with this, and her writing is amazing as well. Like,
Yes.
It's poetry, and it's so like girl power, and like such
In a
a
fucked up way.
strong, smart, beautiful woman.
She has, in my opinion, the best that I've ever read way of describing fucked up women, or just dark, like very grim women, that it's like, okay, but why is it okay if a man does it? Oh, it's like so cool if we watch a man do that, but if a woman does it, she's crazy. And Gillian Flynn is like, or it's Gillian Flynn. I mean, please fight me in the comments because I don't know which one it is. But she absolutely killed this. And when she's talking about, like, we highlighted and wrote so much. So she has her own copy, so we didn't have the same writing and highlighting and annotations, but like basically every 50 pages, I was like, what do you think? I was so freaking excited. And she already knew what the plot twist was going to be, but reading it is like a whole other level.
I thought the book was way better than the movie just because of how good the writing was. And like, there was so many things that I love about this book. Like, I can't even cover it all.
This is an amazing time. If you have not already been spoiled on what the plot twist is in this book, run and get this. Don't tell anybody you're reading it. Run and buy it, read it, and thank me later, because this is... I mean, if you're a guy, I don't know what you're going to feel about it, because a lot of guys have a big problem with this book, because they're like, oh, you're just doing it because you're feminist, or, oh, well, like women,
I can't relate. I loved it.
I'm doing The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn?
I think so, yeah. How did you remember that, you psycho?
If I'm wrong, why? That's an author. Maybe.
It's definitely AJ.
I think it's A.J. Finn. I think the reason I remember that is because I keep seeing, like, whenever I see him blurbed on other people's covers, I'm like, back on the shelf. Don't care about your opinion or you. Before we get into the book, A.J. Finn is a monster. Like, I mean, monster. Yeah, he's a monster. Why am I defending him? He is a compulsive liar. And a liar about things that are just horrifically wrong to lie about, like having cancer. You know, just lying to everybody, lying to publishers a lot. He's just not a good person, and did not know that. Or no, wait, we knew that like
we
a
didn't know
fourth of the way
specifics.
in.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, before I read it, I didn't know anything specific about him at all. I just saw the preview for the movie that has
Amy Adams?
Yeah, I think so.
Or if not Amy Adams, the girl that looks like her.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I was like, oh, maybe we could both read the book and then watch the movie when it comes out. And then COVID happened, so the movie never came out.
Yeah, oh my god, are they not gonna...
I don't think they're gonna release it. I think Netflix got the rights to it, so it's probably coming out in 2021.
I can't wait to see her adaptation.
True.
Okay, let's see. So let's describe this book.
Okay.
You can just, I guess you can just start timing when I start talking.
Okay.
Okay, this is about a girl, don't remember her name, and she has agoraphobia. She stays in her house. She drinks a lot, like, a lot. And she's always watching her neighbors, just peeping everything they do. And one day she sees somebody that she thinks gets murdered, but she's like, nobody's gonna believe me because I don't have any, like, footage of it or whatever. And it's her, like, basically mentally spiraling and, like, did this really happen? So something that, I mean, I think we both feel this way about it, but the first, like, 85%, shit, 90% of this book, thrilling. Like, I'm not a fast, like, physical book reader, and I think I read it in less than 2 days. Like, I was just sitting in my bed, like, flipping. And I remember, like, I stayed up so late reading this book. I was so enthralled. I needed to know what happened. I think that the laying out of, like, clues and stuff like that was really good. I mean, I know I'm somebody that doesn't notice them as much as she does, because, like, we'll play games that are kind of, like, clue related or something, and she's like, oh, well, did you notice that this license plate said this? I'm like, no. So for me, it wasn't like a phenomenally told mystery. I think there was a lot of things that didn't make sense. I think there were a lot of things that I told you I would be like, I don't know if this is a clue or if he just doesn't understand humanity. Like, if he doesn't understand that this is a weird thing to do. Like, what was it that you were like, oh, I wouldn't have noticed that, but you were saying all these things that you would notice. And I was like, those details wouldn't point out to me.
Right.
But the physical or the emotional things characters would do would stand out to me. Like, the teenager crying in front of her.
Yeah.
I was like, what teenage boy cries in front of a stranger?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Okay, you take a...
Oh. What do I think about it?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, at the time I thought it was like very fast paced and stuff. I think there was like a lot of mystery that I wanted to get to the bottom of. Like you said, to me, I was thinking 90% of the book was interesting. I think I read it in like 2 days or something. Yeah. But then the last, 10% was just, it ended really quickly. And it wasn't as satisfying, I guess.
Okay, wait. Without spoiling it, why did you hate the ending? Why did we hate the ending?
Because someone was explaining it to us.
Oh?
Yeah.
And also who it turned out to be, I think, was...
Yes, that was disappointing.
Yeah. I did not like that. I think that while reading it, I was having such a fun time. And then at the end, I was like, what? And let me tell you, here's a funny tale. Okay. So, remember I told you earlier that I just never shut up and I basically spoil every book? Fuck her. Like, you know what she did? She was like, I'm reading this book. I'm reading this book. It's so good. Okay? Calls again. You've got to read it. You want to read it? I'm going to bring it over. I'm bringing it over. You're reading this book. Shows up on my door. Gives me this book. And I don't think I have a photo of it. If I do, I'll show it to you. But you've never seen a spine more broken in your freaking life. I was like, this book is so well loved. Oh my God,
you
masterpiece.
Had it laying flat on your counter.
Yes. I read it, and she doesn't tell me anything. She's like, "Oh, it's so fun. I want to see what you think. I want to see what you think." I'm loving it. Get to the end, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, the ending sucked."
I just wanted to see what you thought.
Was not anticipating that. I'm just like, your book is a problem, girl. And she's like, oh, it ain't a fave. No. Oh, it ain't a fave, girl. No, absolutely not. And I was like, excuse me. And then I had her book. I was like, I'm going to bring it back to you. She was like, I don't want that back in my house. No. So I immediately, when she said that, hung up the phone, took it to the free library and stuck it in there. It got taken out that day or the next day, because the next day when I went, it was gone. The day after that, it was back in the free library. And I was like, yeah, nobody wants to keep this because the ending sucks.
This is How You Lose the Time War by... I'm like, wait, which one is it?
Amal El-Matar. That's wrong. I'm sorry. This is the tension. And Max Gladstone.
Okay. All right. So this is a sci-fi meets poetry. You don't really know what's going on. I feel like the whole time you're reading this. It has 2 birds on the cover. Are there birds in this book? Maybe. But it's not about birds, okay? It's about, like, 2, like, spirits, I guess, or something. They're moving up and down timelines. They're going in and out of bodies. They're living different lifetimes. And
Done.
Okay, I rated this one 5 out of 5, and I put it on my favorites list. And this was your copy, and then I bought it from her, and I'm going to reread it, and I'm going to highlight the shit out of this book, because it really is like poetry, but it does have like a sci-fi kind of thing to it, which is also very like, it's just like a timeless, like poetic thing to me, so it's hitting my Cancer energy real hard. It's very sweet. And then I like how both of the characters are female,
Mhm.
and they're both very strong, and they're like the best at what they do. And it's not even about love; it's about respect. I love that too.
I gave it a 2 out of 5. I felt like an idiot while I was reading this, and I really hate books that do that. And it's not the book's fault, mostly. Like, there were things that I read this book, and I was like, you need to read this to tell me what happened in this book, because I don't understand. She read it, and she would be like, oh, God, there was this shit with the freaking wax seal, where it was like, bashed a seal skull in or something. You're like, oh, I used the wax.
It whacked the seal.
And it was supposed to be like wax seal. And I was like, yeah, no part of me got that. And I read that chapter 3 times. Like, it did not connect. I didn't understand. I just was like, okay, all I was understanding was like the characters' decisions. I wasn't understanding anything that was happening in these worlds. I didn't understand a thing about this book. I really didn't. It was so confusing to me. And this is why I don't read poetry. Like, I'm not deep enough for that. And the next book is Matilda by Roald Dahl. Okay, you're gonna start your mental timer.
All right.
Okay, so this book is about Matilda. She is a very, very young girl who's obsessed with reading. She's very smart, and she has these like weird like telekinetic powers, and she lives with the most horrifying parents of all time. And then a teacher basically takes her in because she's basically being mentally abused. And she goes to a horrible school, and it's basically her just becoming I lost it in the end there, but it's totally fine. This is a 5 out of 5. This is on my favorites list. This is my favorite book from childhood. Also an absolutely phenomenal adaptation.
Yes. I watched the movie many, many, many times when I was growing up, and I guess I had never read the book. And I listened to the audiobook that was narrated by Kate Winslet this year on Libby. And she did a great job. Oh my God, it was so amazing. And I honestly was really impressed by the book. Mm-hmm. I love when they describe her like going to the library for the first time and how the librarian is reacting to this young child who's like a genius. Like everyone reacting to her and her own child, like it was like she was so smart, but she was still emotionally very young. It was really interesting.
I did not even realize that Kate Winslet was the one who narrated it, so catch me on listening to that. It was so
good. And I also gave this one 5 out of 5 and put it on my favorites list. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did.
Yeah, because I'm not a big middle grade reader, and I'm not a young like a child reader, because this is not middle grade. This is a children's book. And it's so good. Like, Roald Dahl was my favorite author when I was growing up. Like, I loved Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I loved everything he wrote. The Twitches, is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Loved them. I don't know what it is about him, but I also like the illustrations. They're weird, though. Like,
oh my gosh. When he talked about her dad and her parents, like you said, Grizzly.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting how he can, in a children's book, get so much human nature that's realistic. Tucked away in there.
Yeah. But that's all we have to say about it, because I didn't really enjoy it and she DNF'd it. Yeah. So one book left, and it is
Educated by Tara Westover?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This book is about Tara Westover's life. It's a memoir, and she talks about her family. They are very like survivalists. So her dad and her mom I think they're like Mormon as well, but they're very like detached from society. They're kind of in the country, and then it's her. Yeah.
Okay, what did you rate it?
Oh, I rated this one 5 out of 5, and I put it on my favorites.
Okay. I rated it 4 out of 5. I thought it was such a phenomenal ride. Like, in my opinion, if you're looking for a nonfiction read or a memoir, this has hype for a reason. The writing is beautiful, as a lot of people say. It is very, very good. I don't know what it is that held me back from feeling it to be a 5 out of 5. I think one thing, which I'm going to say this and you're going to be like, oh, that means it was a 5 out of 5 because it made you feel this way. But there are not, I feel like, many books that I read that kind of change my opinion on humanity. Or this book made me mad. And I don't just mean mad like, oh, it was bad. That's not what I mean. I mean, this book made me look at people badly. Like, I was reading this book and I went to work and I was like, the world sucks. People suck. And even if they're supposed to love you, they make horrible decisions. They're shitty people. Like, This just made me very, very angry. Like, literally the very end of this book when she's talking about her parents and her brother and her brothers and her sister and everything, I was like, even family is horrible. Like, everybody sucks. And even, like, her friends, I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. It just, like, made me angry, and it just didn't leave a good taste in my mouth. I think that, but it wasn't her fault. It's her life story. And I almost didn't give it a rating. Actually, I think on Goodreads, I didn't give it a rating at all, which I'm going to stick with because that doesn't, in my feelings, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 because I was just so angry at her story. Like, I was like, this should not happen. Why did this happen? This is so stupid. But it's her story. This happened to her. It's not like she caused it to happen. So it's not her fault. She can't control the other people in the story. But that was my emotions about the book.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting, especially when she talked about her dad's, like, perspective on 9/11, I think. Was it 9/11?
It was a couple. Y2K definitely was a big thing.
It was Y2K. And I was like, whoa, throwback. Like, and then everything about her family, it was very, like, barefoot in the woods type of growing up. And then the fact that she was homeschooled, there was a lot of interesting things about that. There was a lot of interesting things, I think, about her mom with the holistic, like, essential oils that I was like, it made me question my own sanity when I was reading this book. It made me question my own, like, my family members and, like, just the generations of what mental illness can do in a family, I guess. And, like, I found a lot of things that she said, like semi-relatable, like, nothing close to, like, what she's been through, but I could see things in people that not just my family members, people that we work with, too, I feel like. It was, like, yeah, really interesting about human nature, too. And then, I think that the writing was very entertaining, and I think as far as memoirs are concerned, it was very fast-paced. The chapters were very, very interesting, the way she split it up. It was, like, semi-chronological, but it was very, like, each chapter kind of had a theme and a point to it, which was nice.
Well, chronologically, she would be like, she would talk about something happening, and then 7 chapters later be like, remember when I said that? I don't think that's how it happened. And I'm like, what? But again, it's very realistic. Like, her being like, I was a child, maybe I'm not remembering it the right way, but as a reader, you're like, did it happen or not? But that's not her fault at all. Like, she is telling it, in my opinion, as far as memoirs go, probably the most realistically that you could tell it, which is, this is what I think happened. 7 chapters later, this is what my brother said happened. A couple chapters later, maybe I don't remember what happened. It was just very interesting.
And I also like how she made all of her family members very characteristic. Like, her grandparent, like, her grandma was, like, everyone in her family was, like, a character. I could just see it. I could see it on screen. I could see it in anyone. You could literally, like, take their face and plaster it onto someone that you know.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video and the 15 books that we have buddy read this year in 2020. We will be doing this in the future. We're thinking about doing a video where, like, we kind of do a mystery TBR of recommending a book for each other. We read it and come back together at the end of the video to discuss it. We'll see about that. Let me know if you want to see it. I will have all of her links linked down below, and also I will have my Goodreads and my Instagram linked down below. I want to thank everybody who's been following me on there. I've had such a surge of friends and followers, and I just can't thank you enough. And if you have any suggestions on books that we should read, especially if you have seen any of the ones we've both been giving 5 stars, that you think we would both enjoy, please let me know. Let me know any suggestions you have for videos in the future. And I think that we're going to wrap this up for tonight.
Yeah.
So
yeah, thank you so much. It was fun.
Yes. All right. Have a good night. Goodbye.